Um, Good afternoon and Merry Christmas, Green Wave fans. Jimmy Ordeneaux here with a quick note about our first episode. Unfortunately, in the progress of recording our first episode, we had some technical difficulties. About halfway through the interview of Coach Fritz, we lost the audio. We're in the process of attempting to recover that, but at this point, we don't have that part of the interview. Look, George Washington had to take a few L's on the way to Yorktown. These types of things happen. You know, we're gonna learn on our way, and we're gonna get better. And I'm confident in that. And the show's gonna be better and better. This was always going to be the rockiest because I've never hosted a show before, and so it's all good. What is good about what we have is a lot of great stuff from Coach about this past season. We get into some of the staff changes he is making, which you missed out on. And if we are able to recover it, we will send it out. We'll make the whole episode available, and you'll get that. But we did get to talk about his coaching background, all those steps he took on his way to Tulane. We got to talk a lot about his family. Really enjoyed talking to Coach about Mrs. Susan Fritz, and all the sacrifices she's made to help him become the guy he is. I mean, she's been a rock and a constant influence throughout his life. We got to talk to him about how cool it is to work with his son Wes on a daily basis, and we got to talk about his culture and particularly how he's able to maintain a culture, a team-oriented culture, in a time where it's really hard to do that with all the individualism that's already present in our society, and then you add to it the social media and all the things that come with it in today's day and age. So that's a great conversation. We hope to be able to get it back to you. If we cannot, though, I'm confident you're still going to enjoy what we have for you. And so with that, we are going to start the show. Thank you for tuning in, and we look forward and hope you enjoy the Jimmy O Show. Thank you.
About last season, you haven't had one like that. So tell me a little bit about, first of all, what were some of the things that went right?
Not very many things, but I mentioned before. I thought our kids did a great job of continuing to play with great effort. I thought they did a great job of representing the university. We gained some valuable experience. You can gain valuable experience, from a win or a loss. I'd rather gain it from a win, obviously, but I thought our defense, came on towards the end of the year and played well. We're always looking at and crunching numbers, and over the last 5 games, I think we're the second best defense in the conference, behind Cincinnati, who's got one of the top group defenses in the nation. So there was some good things. You saw some guys, play extremely well. I thought Ryan Wright had a super year, our punter. Hopefully gets an opportunity with an NFL team, and there were some good things we did in the kicking game. Just turn the ball over too much. We, turnover takeaway is a big part of our what we call our plan to win, and we weren't good in that area. And that's I think when we've been +1 or better, all the different places that I've coached, we've won 90% of our games. Heck, we even had a game this year where we were +4 and we lost. So
which one was that?
Yeah, Memphis in the year. But we've got to do there's a lot of room for improvement, and we're certainly disappointed. But you got to learn from your past mistakes. I tell our guys this all the time. You can't sit and dwell on a loss, or you can't sit and pat yourself on the back for a win. You got to move on. And we have a 24-hour rule where after a game where you're either going to gloat or pout, one of the two, and then you got to move on to the next one. Sometimes guys play real well and they forget how they got there. So we're going to learn from it. We're going to learn from it during spring football, and we're going to get better.
And so you answered my next question, and I guess the follow-up to that would be is in some ways, you go 6-6, you go 7-6, and you want more than that, Coach, you, Coach Fritz, particularly. You're looking at that 10-11 mark, and you're trying to figure out how to get there, and so when you're hitting that 7-6, it's sort of like, maybe I tweak this or tweak that, and I'm going to take that next step. Whereas you go 2-10, it's almost a blessing in disguise because you can really kind of reevaluate where things stand and, it reaffirm, if nothing else, reaffirm that I'm doing things the right way and I'm going to stick with this plan. Did it help in any way, sort of having such adversity in terms of a final result?
Oh, I don't know if it did or it didn't. You do examine everything, and irregardless of our record, I examine everything at the end of the year, and you examine personnel, you examine your coaches, your support staff, your recruiting, just every aspect of your program, and you look at it, you make some changes, you want to, because you want to win, you want to do better, so yeah, it does expose some of your weaknesses without question.
Mm-hmm. And Coach, and so you kind of anticipated some of this, but focusing on the defense, what I saw is what I would say a hallmark of your programs at Tulane have been, at least for an observer like me, is that sometimes your defenses could get beat by really elite playmakers on the outside, but you did some things really well consistently. You always played the run really well. Unless you're, sometimes Oklahoma and some of those early games you played, Ohio State. But for the most part, played the run really well, got after the quarterback. And it just seemed like the first part of the season, I kind of went away. We were, I don't want to get too nerdy, but, run fits, like gap responsibilities, who's responsible for the edge. It just seemed like we lost that for a stretch.
No, we did. We actually had 3 new coordinators.
Right.
Offense, defense, special teams, and that's unique in college football. I've never had that happen before, but I thought our, defensively, our bugaboo the year before was giving up the big play. Mm-hmm. We had some games where, we stop them on 4th and 15. We stop them on 3rd and 21. We stop them on a Hail Mary. Wins games.
Right.
We didn't get that done, and we had a lot of new coaches working together, and I didn't realize how big of an impact that was going to be. But you're right, we didn't fit up run plays, and you got to have an edge to your defense on every single play, particularly against the run, and it was some new guys playing in some different spots, so it just didn't play well early, and I think it surprised us because we went out and played pretty decent defense against Oklahoma, one of the top offenses in the country, and then we played the next week against Morgan State, and that kind of hides some, maybe some deficiencies because they weren't a real strong team, but then we played a great offense in Ole Miss. Be honest with you, I thought they were the best team we played last season. Particularly that night, they were.
There was something that night. Henry and I, our assistant producer here, Henry, my son, and I made the trip, and we sat through that rain, and we were not in a tiny locker room with 100 guys. I can tell you that.
Yeah, but it was, so we played some good teams. There's no doubt about that. But we needed to play better early, and we started playing better later in the year. Did a better job playing complementary football where the offense helps the defense.
Sure.
Defense helps the kicking game helps the offense, and we started playing better and much more competitive towards the end of the year.
And Coach, it really almost seemed like a flip was switched. I mean, it went. I was like, who are these guys? I don't recognize this as what I've become accustomed to seeing. And then all of a sudden it gets Houston. We're back, and Nick came back around that time, and that certainly helped. But I mean, was it a schematic change? Was it a sort of just guys starting to execute what they were asked? Was there any one thing you can point to, or just
no, not really. I just thought it was execution, all those things. We didn't come up with a new scheme or anything. The guys just executing the scheme better.
Sure, and they did. I mean, the effort against Cincinnati was great. I mean, look, talk about complementary football. You're playing a true freshman quarterback, a quarterback turned tight end back to quarterback in that game, and yet you were competitive into the fourth quarter against a playoff team. So look, I had a lot of hope when Coach Hampton was when you tabbed him. I mean, you had experience with him, but this is his first coordinated job. It almost seems like, I'm raising 4 kids. It's almost like you could see him growing as a coordinator before your very eyes. from the outside.
Well, I agree with you. You know, he's a really smart guy, and he, you know, and heck, you know, there's nothing greater than experience. You know, and you know, I would assume you're a better lawyer now than you were.
Well, I was about to
years
say,
back.
right,
You know, you just get better, and
that's absolutely
you know,
the case.
it just helps you having that experience, and I really was impressed with him down the stretch, and some of the changes and things that he did to get us going in that right direction.
Yeah, I'm with you, and you know, I'm expecting big things in 2022. You on that side of the ball, you optimistic about where we're headed?
Yeah, I really am. I feel like we've got a good recruiting class combined with the kids we got coming back, and yeah, we're you know, you always want to be optimistic. I don't know what coach isn't, you know,
Right.
you know, in the off season leading up to the season, but I think we're realistic in our you know, personnel, and we got some Division I guys, and you know, we had some guys that were beat up and injured, you know, that were playing some important positions for us throughout the year that I think will be healthy and stay away from that injury bug, and that'll help you out too.
Sure. Switching sides of the ball, you know, we really saw down the stretch what a healthy Tajay Spears brings to the table. I mean, his performance against Memphis, and I watched a bunch of Matt Forte games. He's maybe been the best running back performance I saw in a Tulane uniform. A healthy Tajay goes a long way, doesn't it?
You better mention Mweldy, or he'll get upset.
Yeah, well, I know. Well, look, full disclosure, Mweldy was the star when I was in law school. And I'm out there in Baton Rouge, and this is before every game was on TV, so I only saw Mweldy play a few times. I didn't get to see all of Mweldy's games.
You know, I just talked to him last week.
He's a fantastic guy.
Great guy.
Yeah.
But no, Tulane's had some super backs, you know, all the way back to Tommy Mason.
Sure.
You know, some really good running backs. Tajay, you know, had a great high school career. Unfortunately, got injured. You know, we knew this is what he was going to be able to do. There was a game we played against Navy a few years back where he had over 100 yards, and we ended up redshirting him that year.
Right, it was a
because
4-game, yeah.
Yeah, the 4-game deal, and you know, with all this COVID and all this other stuff, we probably should have played him more that year. But yeah, what a great effort against Memphis. He's just he's a tough, hard-nosed player, and you know, and he's a complete back. Catch a ball, block, assignment sound. He can run inside. He can run out on the perimeter. So you know, we're looking for big things from him.
Yeah, and then you got reinforcements coming. You got Cam back. I mean, you got a lot to work with there. And I'd be remiss to not talk about the improvement I think I saw a little bit, at least in the run game. And you had some young guys on the right side of your offensive line. And Sincere's still relatively young, although he's got experience. But you really saw them, I think, kind of come in to their own a little bit down the stretch as well.
Yeah, we put an emphasis on running the football. We hadn't been running the ball early in the season as much or as effectively as we needed to, and we've always ran the ball well. Every team that I've coached has ran the ball well, and we really put an emphasis on it, and obviously we got better at it.
Yeah, and that was my next question. Really, was I got to ask some hard question, and that's one of the things is you know, over the course of the season, at least for a long stretch of the season, we didn't see the run game that we're accustomed to seeing out of your group. Is that you know, what was the reason for that, you think?
I just think it was, you know, there's a lot of good plays out there, and you know, I needed to do a better job early in the year of reinforcing that, hey, we need to do this, you know, and we certainly did down the stretch, and you know, I just think it opens, it's, again, it takes a lot of pressure off the defense when you run the ball well, and you know, you play pretty good defense when you're controlling the ball on offense, you know, and I thought we did a much better job of that, you know, the last, you know, 5 ball games.
It also helps, I can tell you, the guys up front, when the defense doesn't know that they can just pin the ear back, come at you. When you have a healthy complementary run pass, play action, everything opens up, makes the quarterback's life easier as well.
Yeah, and you got to get the ball out of the quarterback's hand quickly, and you know, and Michael, you know, he was Pratt, our quarterback, was really beat up this year, and you know, he really, that first game against Oklahoma when he stretched on the last play, he got hurt, and he was up, you know, really wasn't fully healthy for most of the year. There's many weeks he didn't practice.
Yeah.
You know, and then Ibieta does his
He gets
tears
hurt.
tears his labrum second week, and he was out the rest of the year. And our third team guy got banged up, and so that's running the ball and handing it to the running back instead of the quarterback running it. I think got Michael healthy. He had to miss a few ball games, with a concussion but heck, we had 1 week where one of our graduate assistants was doing all the throwing in practice. We just didn't have a healthy quarterback throw the ball, and that makes it tough. So running the ball takes the onus off the quarterback.
And I think that's the issue with Michael. I think if you watch him, some hesitancy to throw the deep ball, and when he threw it, it didn't quite have the same zip on it that we saw previously from him. It suggested he may have been hurt.
No, he's banged up. He's a tough, hard-nosed competitor, and we always talk to him about first down, touchdown, get down. He sometimes doesn't hear that third one.
Yeah, right.
He's going to go ahead and try to stick it up in there, and he takes some shots doing that. He got better at that towards the end of the year. I saw him run out of bounds. He ran out of bounds. And the Memphis came towards me, and I said, "Hey, pretty good," because I just didn't see him do it. I haven't seen him do it much.
He said he learned his lesson somewhere in the middle of the season, and so maybe he really did, But he look, his toughness actually took the nation by storm.
He's tough.
After the Oklahoma game, folks were all over Michael. I'd say he would be the first to tell you, I'm sure, having met the kid, that he expected more out of the passing game this year. More out of the offense in general.
It just was, there's so much timing involved in it, and then you're not running it and getting down in distances. When it's 3rd and 10, everybody in the stadium, my wife knows what's coming. It's drop back pass, and now they're pinning their ears back and coming. When it's 3rd and 3 or 4, now they can't pin their ears back, and we got more of those down in distance situations later in the year, and we were able to throw the ball more effectively down the field.
Yeah, and that was the tough part. Unfortunately, there are not very many teams at all in the country that are good in 3rd and 10, and we were certainly not one. And it was kind of like you watching the games, like, God, just stay out of 3rd and long, stay out of 3rd and long. And when we didn't, bad things happen. So
Exactly.
Well, look, let's move on to staff changes. One of those changes is at offensive coordinator. You haven't yet hired the replacement. What are you looking for in terms of a candidate? What does a 2022 Tulane offense look like in your mind?
The big thing is you want to take advantage of your personnel. It's amazing to me sometimes where, throughout I feel like one of my strengths is, hey, this guy's better than that guy.
Right.
I can get out there in 4 or 5 days of preseason camp and, in the fall, and, he should be playing this many, and sometimes coaches are so caught up in the scheme part, they don't see it. So, we got to do a great job of playing the right guys, the appropriate amount. And hopefully you got a bunch of competition where you're rolling guys. And you talked about it earlier, you got, Tajay, you got Cam Carroll, you got, I think, some other guys that can play in the running game for us as well, YG Booker. I'm
about to say, YG really flashed for a while before he got hurt again.
He got hurt, and, we just got to, you got to play the right guys at the right spots, every play isn't for everybody. This play might be better for this guy than another guy, and so that's number one. Number two, we want to have a strong running attack, and that helps us. We're not going to roll the ball out there and have just better personnel than people we play. But that doesn't mean you can't win a ton of games.
Right.
You see it all the time with Army.
Sure.
They're
playing right now.
They're playing tonight, and I'll guarantee you there's not one guy Mizzou recruited that plays on the Army
And
team.
I suspect Army's going to whip them.
They might. They might. We'll see. They'll, and it ought to be Missouri ought to be good because they've had 3 weeks to prepare for them.
Sure.
Right. It's not a short week.
Right.
Like
Well,
sometimes.
I always thought that would be a big help in a bowl game, and yet Army had that bowl against Houston a couple of years ago. It was 70-7.
I think they'd already dismissed their coach and all that kind of. I think Houston was kind of done for that one, but that'll help us. There's a bunch of things. I've done some Zoom calls with some candidates, and it's been really impressive.
Yep.
And and I've had quite a few coaches involved with it as well, and we broke down all the analytic on each guy, the analytics on his last 5, 6, 7 years as a coordinator, and what are his strengths, what are his weaknesses, and I got to get this hire right, but we're on some really good guys.
Yeah, well, you've made a number of tough decisions, and look, Coach Hampton paid off. I mean, other ones have paid off in your career. You seem to like knowing which players are better than the others. You seem to have a pretty good eye for what coaches
hard,
are better than others too.
Sometimes you got to really have a deep dive into the circumstances of the school they were at. There might have been a reason why they're pretty good there.
Sure.
Might have had a whole lot better personnel than everybody else.
Yeah.
I've only had that happen to me once in my career when I really got it going at Blinn.
You're better than everybody.
Our Joes were better than their Jimmys.
Sure. Yeah.
So we were going to win.
There are a lot of Joes better than this Joe.
No, I'm not. I don't know about that, right, Henry?
Yeah. So, Coach, one other change, a big change, because you have a strength and conditioning background. Kyle Spear's been with you for a long time. Is that the toughest part of this whole deal?
Yeah,
is moving on from guys.
Yeah, it really is. It's really difficult. It's the one part that I'm slow to pull the trigger, over all my years, and Kyle certainly has done a fantastic job here at Tulane and other places that have been at, but we wanted to make some changes in that area as well, and really excited about the hire that we've made with Kurt Hester. Kurt has got big time background. He's a Tulane graduate. Did you know that?
I didn't.
Yeah. He played football at Southeastern Louisiana, and they dropped the program, and he came over to Tulane and actually worked in the Riley Center, and some kind of rehab deal that he was doing there, and we're excited about having him. He's trained a lot of professional athletes. He's been over Louisiana Tech. One of the things I like about him, he's had to do everything. My background as head coach, I've lined fields, I've washed jocks, I've been a strength coach, I've taped ankles, I've done everything, and he's had to do everything. And I think you need that at a place like Tulane. If a guy's had 12 assistants, he's wanting to tell the assistants what to do, and they're not here. Mm-hmm. Okay, so he's really had some valuable experience in nutrition. Hey, he talked to us about speed development, about running mechanics, and it was in depth.
Sure.
He's one of the things he prides himself in is all the guys that he's trained have done better in the combine than other guys that have gone other places and worked with other people, and they've had PR. So, we're very excited about having Kurt here, and something else is his wife is a nurse, and they live over on the North Shore. He's been renting a house in Ruston, so he's excited about coming home. His daughters live over here as well. So, I really did a deep dive into him and probably talked to 20 people who worked with him there, and I got nothing but glowing reports.
Yeah, and I mean, look, so much has changed. We learn with time, and you see guys like Alan Faneca, NFL Hall of Famers, glowing in their praise for Coach Hester, but training has changed over time, and there's more, I guess, position-specific things and in athlete-specific things that you can train with that sort of approach. I mean, is that sort of more of an individualized, player-by-player type of approach he's going to try to bring to it?
Yeah, he's a real proficient in martial arts. I don't know what his belt is, but he showed some different things that he was doing with hand fighting, which is a big part of football. And he even got into some things with vision, with depth perception, and trying to expand your peripheral vision, and he showed some drills doing that. I've never seen anybody do that before. They had 16 dropped interceptions a couple years ago at La Tech, and they decrease that to 4.
Wow.
You know, and it really worked with different guys. So we're going to jump all over that, and you know, so there's a lot of things. You know, it's you know, it's so scientific. You know, strength and conditioning now. Before, you know, the more you squat, the better. You know, the answer to everybody was, you know, and I was a strength coach for 15 years, and it was, you know, you did some powerlifting, you did some Olympic lifting, you know, you did a little bit of bodybuilding, and you know, a lot of straight line stuff, and a little bit of change of direction, and everybody trained the same.
Yeah, right.
You know, regardless of whether you're a left tackle on offense or a right corner on defense. You know, but those guys' movements there's no similarities between them.
Right.
You know, and you when you were probably playing in, you know, with Coach Bowden, everybody lifted the same. You know, you were in the weight room at the same time. You didn't, you know, you did the same routine. They had it up on a board, and that's what you did.
The little
you
guys
know?
just had to run a little faster.
Yeah.
You know, but otherwise we had to do the same thing.
You know, and I know Coach Bowden had a test that you guys did. What was that test you guys did?
Well, at the end, we had to do the 300-yard shuttle. We had to do the conditioning test at the very end, and I had to dive across the line to finish because it was biased against slow people such as myself, and you know, I was in the best shape of my life, but I still had to dive across that line to pass it. You know,
I did an 880-yard run where you went goal line 25, 20, goal line 50, goal line 75, goal line, back of the end zone, okay? And it was a heck of a test for stamina, but really no relevance in football. You know,
You never run it,
no, we did it. You know, and hey, there are some things you do to get tough.
sure.
You know, that may not have relevance in football, but do you have the, you know, cojones to go out there and do what you're supposed to do? That's also part of it. You know, competition and doing that and selling out and diving across the line on the finish to make sure you make it. But position-specific training is really where it's at, and I really enjoyed listening to him talk. He was just an expert in all sorts of different areas.
Sure.
Nutrition, the sprinting. I hadn't heard anybody talk about that other than a track coach. I was a track coach for a long time, you know, at Coffeyville and also at Blinn. They fired a coach one year and I won a national championship. I just drove them on the bus to the
Go right.
meet. I gave them the per diem and made sure they got there, right? I had 11 Olympians
Oh, wow.
that were on there. Tim Montgomery.
Yeah, I remember that.
Tim,
name.
he's world
Absolutely.
record holder for the
Sure.
100 meters. He wasn't bad. But, you know, I didn't know what I was doing. But you get into specific drills and, you know, it just is pretty neat, the expertise he had in multiple areas.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch it. I hear nothing but great things from people in the know, and I'm excited. All right, last topic. It's Christmas time. We're recording this 3 days before Christmas, so I got a couple questions for you on that. So, you've seen it. You haven't made an excuse here in the hour or so we've been going. Yeah, no excuse, guy. But dream with me. If there was one facility change if you could have at Tulane, and one non-facility change you could have, what would those be?
Oh gosh, you know, one of the things I feel like I've done more with less as well, and so I don't sit around and, you know, the one thing that we're really blessed with is the fact that Mrs. Benson and the people down at the Superdome, the Little Caesars
Sure.
Superdome, right?
Caesars.
Allow us to go in there and practice, because I don't know what we'd do if we couldn't. Because, you know, it rains around here occasionally.
It does.
And you get lightning occasionally here as well. And, you know, we've only missed, you know, maybe 10 practices in 6 years. But, you know, so I'd love to have it indoor, but we're kind of landlocked where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very fortunate that we can jump in you know, get some buses, have a police escort. We can be down the Superdome in 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we can be out of Metairie and in the Saints facility in 15, 20 minutes. And so we're very, very fortunate, but that would be I guess a dream, you know, to be able to do that as well. And you know, but it really gets down to, it's like strength and conditioning. You got to find facility right here, but lifting weights is, you still got to have a barbell. You got to have some weights. You can do it all, right? Just with that, I've seen some guys, and you can run, and I saw some people running the levee when I was driving in here today. So, we're going to continue to do the best we can with what we got, and we can do great things here with what we have here at Tulane. We got a neat stadium. It's who was in here practicing the other day? Marshall.
Right.
Was in here practicing the other day for the New Orleans Bowl, and I was talking to their head coach, Coach Huff, and he was like, "God, this is a neat setup, and everything, because it is, So, we just want to, we're raring and ready to get back after it."
Yeah, and I can tell you, Brad, I can attest for our producer Bradley here, who also owns these companies. I've been in hotel rooms. Hey, Bradley, I need a workout, but there's nothing here, and he'll give me a workout.
Oh, yeah.
With there's a few dumbbells in the thing, and they're the hardest workouts I do all week. So you can certainly do more with less. Is there anything on a non-facility? Let's make it a little easier. On a non-facility side that you said, if we had this, that, or the other, whether it be more nutritionist or more academic support or whatever.
Nutritionist, that's on our agenda. We're going to get a nutritionist. I also think, the career services part. I just really want our guys to have an opportunity to get that first job. And anybody listening to the podcast, we've had some good internships in the summer in the past. We want more. I want all our guys to have that opportunity to have an internship here in a greater NOLA area after their junior year, and in their field of study, and so those are some of the things that are important to me.
Great. And last thing, Coach, is there a favorite Christmas memory or anything you want to share?
I just wish we were playing right now.
Yeah.
We've been fortunate. We've been playing the last few years, and I wish we were still practicing.
Yeah, I bet you talk to your friend, Mr. Coach Curtis out there. They have a tradition of practicing every Thanksgiving, because they're always in the playoffs deep, and so yeah, it's something to be said about a holiday still being on the field.
Oh yeah, I know they missed it. I talked to Coach Curtis the other day. He was at that practice with Marshall, and I know he was disappointed, but we're both ready to bounce back.
Yeah. Well, Coach, look, thank you so much.
You bet. And I appreciate everything you do for our program. I know you're very involved, and we thank you for that, Jimmy.
Well, Coach, look, no reason for you to have to do this. You did it anyway. You're a heck of a guy. If that kid ever gets a chance to be recruited, God willing, I want him playing for you. So
all right,
you got to stick around long enough, and he's got to keep getting stronger and better. And but Coach, it's more about success on the field. It's the way you treat the kids. It's the way you teach them to be men. It's the important lessons in life. It's everything you've done for Tulane football. And that makes me happy to do whatever I can.
I appreciate that. I tell them all. I tell the parents, hey man, I'm gonna treat these kids like my sons. And but I didn't sit around and kiss my son's butt when he was growing up. He screwed up. I got after his tail and made sure. But I also patted him on the back and loved him up when he did great things. So, we're trying to help these guys, transition, from 18 to 22, get that first job and be a good husband, be a good father. All those things are very, very important to myself and our staff, not just me.
Yep. All right. Well, folks, that'll do it. This was the maiden voyage, episode 0, probably, if you will, of the Jimmy O Show. We'll say 0 because we had a special coach guest. The rest of the programs, it'll evolve over time, but what we're thinking is we're going to have player guests. This will be player-centered to, again, get the message out about how
you need to get Coach Hunter out of here sometime.
Yeah, well, Coach
he
Hunter,
might
I'll
get going
the
now.
mic.
I tell you,
I'll
just let him go. What a great guy.
But to let these players be known and look, so many thanks to our hosts, Rue Fitness and Stat Coaching, for all the help, and thanks, of course, to Coach Fritz for being gracious with his time. Next time we see you, we will have that player guest, and we'll get deep with them so you can see what these guys are all about. Thank y'all for joining us. Bye-bye.